you're overdone. Loud mouth, too bright, skinny jeans so tight, you're overdone. You're overdone, done, 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 done,
Good afternoon, this is Rochelle and we're just back. Maya's been clipped, she's looking as cute as ever, and we're about to head out again and check out some locations for the next music video. I'm really excited about it. But in the meantime, I'm making my lunch and I thought I'm just going to show you how to make a savoury dish with Irish moss. So I know I said I'm going to show you a dessert, and I will at some stage, but I want to show you how easy this is. So I'm going to be making a cashew cheese, and I'm going to leave some to ferment overnight, and then I'm going to also create some cheese slices to put in the dehydrator, and then with the leftovers I'm going to put zucchini spiralized in a bowl and massage the leftovers in, and that's my lunch. Really fast, really easy. What I realized this morning actually is, as I was clearing away like space, I came across this book, Evie's Kitchen. My cashew cheese recipe is actually in this. So I just thought that was really funny because I was like, oh yeah, I didn't bring a lot of stuff with me from England. I literally came with a suitcase. So I'm really surprised to find this. Unfortunately, all my other great books and music and things are all in storage still, but we'll sort that out. On page 201, here we go. Rochelle's Rockstar Cheese. Arr! So that's a really good recipe. This is my old CD. I used it as a bookmark. Anyway, so this is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. I speak a lot about England because that is where I went through some of my deepest healing. I had some health issues, some pretty big ones, and I went to a doctor asking for tablets. You know, just thinking surely there's got to be a tablet for this to sort this out. And when I realized actually there's not, my doctor in England sent me away with a list of superfoods and said to me, look, try these first. If you notice any difference, great, come back and let's reevaluate. And if you don't, come back and let's reevaluate, and then I'll put you on some medication. But she preferred that I try the superfoods first. This is amazing because this doctor absolutely, completely changed my life, and it was the birth of Lover Raw Chocolate too, because that's how I did a lot of research and discovered what my body needed and what I was malnourished with, and had to experiment with a lot of different things, and I still am. So, but I'm just sharing a little bit more about that. So, to make the cashew cheese, cashews. You do not need to soak these. It depends. It depends on what kind of a cheese you want. If you want a kind of a runny cheese, then soaking them's great. If you want a harder cheese, you don't soak them. And so what happens is that the nut absorbs any moisture and it gives you a firmer cheese. The other thing to know about cashews in general is if you're soaking them, you only need to soak them for 20 minutes. Same with macadamia, same with pine nuts. The dark nuts are the ones that need to be soaked. The ones with the skin and stuff, like Brazil and almond and things like that. Walnuts and pecans and all those. They need to be pre-soaked to get the bacteria out of the crevices, but also, and guess what I use for that? Yes, this stuff again. I love this stuff. I use it for everything. I travel with it. It's great for cuts and bruises and stuff like that too. Anyway, you can do your own research on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my blender. You might be wondering what this is. These are magnets. So what you do is you put magnets around your blender, and what it does is it creates a vortex and it makes the molecules smaller, so you get more bang for your buck. So essentially what happens is, like, you put superfoods in, and because the molecules are smaller, you need less superfoods to do the same job. So it's north, south. And what that means is, you know, when you have magnets and they pull together, that's one direction. And when they pull apart, when you try to put them together, that's the other. So you want to put pull together on one side. So you have pull together, pull apart, pull together, pull apart. I hope that makes sense. That's how you do that. With these cheeses, all you need is the nut, the sea salt, and a little bit of filtered water. That's all you need. But then, you know, if you want to add additional things, spices, and you can go sweet, you can go savory, you can go cheesy savory, you can go Indian style savory, Thai style savory. It's whatever you want, you know. It's whatever you want. What I like to do with my cheeses is I like to have some lemon in, because lemon gives it kind of an uplifting flavor. I keep the white on as much as I can. So you got that. I put that in. I'll cut it in half, but that's all you need to do. You do need a high-powered blender for this because of the consistency. You can try with a less, like when I went to Australia to visit my family, my mum has like a blender that's not as powerful, and I was able to make cashew cheeses and stuff and desserts in it. Pretty good, but nowhere near as good as a high-powered blender. So I will put these lemons in first. So because the blade's there, so if it has moisture, it's better. Then I don't have to worry about liquids. See, that goes in there, a whole lemon, and I never measure things. I don't need to pre-soak these because I want a firm cheese today. 2 cups. I'm a nibbler. Usually what happens when I make food, by the time I've made it, I'm not hungry. And if I make cheese slices, there's usually one left by the time they're ready, because it's so delicious. Terrible. We got cashews and lemon so far. Sea salt, kind of like, I guess that would be a flat tablespoon. I like it tasty. Some people don't. Some people put barely any sea salt in, and that it's delicious too. It's just a different thing. I really like tangy, tasty. I'm going to put some onion powder in. This to me is like crack, I have to admit. It's just, I don't know, it just adds something, and I've just kind of put a bit in there. A little bit of cayenne pepper, just to give it a bit of razzmatazz. God, I think that's going to be quite hot. Woo! We've got some nutritional yeast. I use this stuff, the Bragg's. I trust this brand. In America, you have to be careful, particularly because GMO isn't labeled, whereas everywhere else in the world, it's either banned or labeled. So, I trust this brand. If anyone knows otherwise, let me know. How much am I going to put this in? Well, oops. Yeah, oh God. That would have been like 1/6 of a cup. Something like that. So you got all those together. Now, this is the fun bit. I have got some pre-soaked chia seeds. You don't have to use these. What I do with chia seeds is I will get some and put some filtered water in. This is another one of my lab experiments. Well, it's not a lab experiment, but one of the things when people see in the fridge, they're equally as confused as the Irish moss. So you're starting to get the picture, right? It's pre-soaked and it's in a gel, and so I just put that just like a tablespoon's worth in. I also put this in Maya's food. Again, like I said, not essential, but really good. So why not? Now, now we have this stuff. You might recognize it, the Irish moss. So I'm just going to rinse it. You don't need more than that. Okay, it's a handful. Stick it in. And what that does is it gives it a beautiful texture. But the thing is, like I said, if you put too much in one go, it ruins it. So you want to be careful with that. I can just tell from the amount of nuts, having used it, that it can do with a little bit more, and it'll be great. This is how it looks. You can't see very much, can you? Now I'm going to add a tiny bit of filtered water and buzz it, and then I'm going to be back. So stay tuned. So here we are. Okay. Ah, look at that. That creamy consistency. So the trick with knowing how much water needs to go in is when the ingredients is turning over in the blender, just starts to turn over, that's when you know it's ready. You can have it thicker and it not have it turn over, but my experience is it tastes better and not as heavy if it does turn over. You just keep adding water. You don't want to add too much in one go though, because otherwise you can make it too runny. So now the other thing is you can add probiotics to your cashew cheeses or your nut cheeses, but to be honest, the sea salt, when that ferments, it turns probiotic. So you, of course, I mean, it's great to add more probiotics if that's what you want, but it is just as good without, because it does ferment. That's the point, it ferments. So you can add garlic, you can add dill or chives or medicinal mushrooms. Like sometimes I'll add some reishi to it, or I'll add some purple corn extract to it, which is one of the lover ingredients. You know, purple corn extract is when they juice the ancient corn and sun-dry the juice, so it's just the antioxidants. That's really nice if you want pink. I've done that with children and they love it. They think it's hilarious to have pink cheese. There's two ways to do the cheese slices. You can either put it on, just make little blobs on a tray and stick it in the dehydrator as is, or you can wait for this to ferment, and once it's fermented, then turn it into cheese slices. So I prefer to wait until it's fermented because the taste is actually quite different once it's fermented. Yeah. I'm going to pour this in a glass. I always use glass because there's no chance of contamination in any shape or form, and it also won't affect the taste. It's like having, you know, I don't drink beer, but guys who love beer, right? They love it in a glass. It doesn't taste the same in a plastic cup, right? So I hear. Pour this in. Absolutely delicious. Look how creamy that is. It's amazing. It's amazing. Spoon. I like to use silverware. So you can make lasagna with this. You can also cook with this. Like if you want to make a lasagna with vegan cheese, you can cook this. Of course you won't get the probiotic benefits of it, but it's really delicious. It's heavy though. It's heavy. It puts me to sleep if I do that. I'm going to leave a tiny bit at the bottom for my lunch. What I do, I spread that across so that it's flat. And so that's like that. And that's going to ferment. So once that ferments, then I turn it into cheese slices, some of it. I will put it in my dehydrator, flat, little blobs, flatten, circle, beautiful. Get a cloth, got my Australian cloth, and you stick that over it, like this, and you leave it in a corner, like that. And that will do its magic. And how you know it's ready is you stick your finger in it and it kind of bubbles a little bit. It's a little bit foamy. That's how you know it's fermented and ready. It depends on where you are as far as time-wise. So in LA, that will ferment in a day. In England, sometimes a couple of days. But it depends on how fermented you want it. Another way you can do the cheese is you get a cloth. You pour the cashew cheese in the cloth. You get a string, you put this whole thing on a plate or in a bowl so that the moisture doesn't get all over the place, and you can stick it in a dark cupboard for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and you end up with a hard fermented cheese. Other uses for cashew cheese is you can pick dandelion from the yard and just put some cheese in it and wrap it. And get some garlic flowers from the garden. If you have any garlic flowers, stick that on top. And then just get a little toothpick, stick it through the middle, and you got these cute little dandelion cashew cheese treats. So now what I've done is I've gotten a bowl and I put in some spinach, sprouts, and spiralized noodles. Look how long these are. Oh my God. I'm still, my hand is up really high. And I am going to put the remains of this on that, and I will let you know how that looks. Things have gotten a bit messy. What we do with these leftovers is we can make this into a smoothie, so we don't have to waste a drop. You just add in cold water or hot water, some medicinal mushrooms or some raw chocolate powder, and some raw honey, and you have got a beautiful creamy smoothie. And here we have it. I've garnished it with lavender because that's all there is in the garden at the moment. But lavender actually goes better with chocolate. I'm not going to eat that. It's just a bit of a decoration. But anyway, so here it is. Beautiful creamy zucchini, sprouts, and spinach. So I'm going to have my lunch and hit the road. Let me taste this. Really delicious. I wish I could just put it through the screen for you so you can taste it. You can also use this recipe, massage it into kale, and you have kale chips. If I do kale chips though, I like to add a little bit of olive oil and really kind of massage it in. And it's also, if you're doing kale chips, really nice to add some dill and chives and things like that. But it doesn't need that, it's just that it tastes really nice when you do that. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you experiment. Cheers. Okay, since this is my only taste tester today, do you want to try this? Look, we got some for you. Oh, what do you think? Maya says yes, it's gone. We say goodbye. Adios.
Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Are you ready for dinner? What about a treat? Do you want a treat? Got a treat for you too. We got dinner and treats. We got everything.